Hey there, Facebook. It's Laurie Forster, the wine coach, and I'm so excited to go live today to celebrate Oregon Wine Month with our very special guest, who I'm going to introduce in a minute. Christine, give us a little wave. I know they can already see you, and we're all set up to do a little tasting, but I'm going to give it a couple minutes for everybody to get here. The entire month of May, and we're only just started, is Oregon Wine Month. And if you Google that and you go online, you're going to find so many activities and so many special events. So this is just a little teaser for Oregon Wine Month. And we're going to find out Christine's story, how she came to be winery director of one of my favorite Oregon wineries. And you know, to be honest, I am a shareholder as well. So I just want to get that out there. And I'm excited to hear her story, because that's the dream, isn't it? Right? To be working at a winery in the beautiful countryside where she lives. And we'll get a peek of that as well. So I want to give it a minute for everybody to join. If you want to chat in the comments, let us know you're here. That's helpful. Any questions you might have, get your wine ready. I'm going to be double fisting because I'm considering this my happy hour. Christine's going to be tasting along with us. It's a little bit earlier there, so she's making an exception for us, and she's going to start drinking early. But if you guys want to let me know in the Facebook comments that you're here, any questions, what you're drinking, we're dying to know all that stuff. And just kind of get started. It's 4:30, so I'm figuring here on the East Coast, Christine, that's fair game for happy hour. Would that be fair game for you too?
Yeah, especially on a Friday, right?
I know, it's Friday. I emailed everybody today on my list and said, get your work done early, hop on Facebook Live, and start happy hour at 4:30. And, you know, we know this is going to be recorded. So, folks, if you didn't get done work early, you're still going to be able to join us, pour that glass of wine, watch this recording, and enter your questions, because I'll get back to you and we'll answer every single one as we go along. So make sure you got something delicious in your glass. We already have a couple people here, and we are excited to introduce Christine. I'll get started. I know people are just going to be streaming in as we go along, Christine. And I wanted to introduce Christine Clair from Willamette Valley Vineyards, Clair from Willamette Valley Vineyards. She's the winery director, and I met the founder, Jim Bernot. I'm trying to picture it, but maybe 2006 or 7, we're figuring. And so I've been a big fan of the winery for many years, and was so excited when I heard there was going to be a woman running the winery. And now that we've connected a few times, I thought it'd be so fun to have you on to celebrate Oregon Wine Month. You actually grew up looking at the vineyard, you know, as a young child. And I hear that you sold friendship bracelets in the tasting room, which I absolutely love. But then later, of course, you went on to start your own wine brand, but came back to Willamette Valley Vineyards. And now, in addition to being the winery director, I guess you are being, I don't know if groomed is the word, that sounds a little bad, but you're going to be next in line to fill Jim Bernot's shoes, as I understand. You've been recognized by wine enthusiasts several times, top 40, under 40, and then for your project with the Southern Rosé wine, which maybe we'll touch on. But so thank you for joining us. We've got some people here, and we're excited to be with you in Oregon.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here too. We have such a beautiful spring. I just want to show people that even though I'm in our wine library here, just to see what Oregon wine country looks like today. Our vines are now, they've woken up for the year. So that's the view.
So beautiful.
Of the library here. So the vines woke up around mid-April. We've just been having this dry, beautiful season. So they already have lots of shoots, and we're preparing for harvest 2021 or the 2021 vintage, I should say.
Great. So hopefully, I know I probably didn't do your background justice, but you know, tell us a little bit about how you came from selling friendship bracelets in the tasting room to now running the entire winemaking, the viticulture, you know, what's happening in the vineyard, running all of that. You know, wow, that's like a dream. How'd you make that happen?
It is a dream, yeah. It is a little surreal. So I grew up here at the base of the hill. So you were looking at that photograph, or, when I showed you the view, I just grew up right down the gravel driveway. And, Jim was a neighbor. Our founder, Jim Bruneau, is a neighbor, and he planted his first block. We now call it the Bruneau block, his first 15 acres of Pinot Noir. And he did so, with hand watering the vines. And this was a very small operation in the beginning. And then just over the years, he then had dreams to build the winery. He invited wine enthusiasts in to, help him do so. So we are community funded. That's part of our unique ownership story, how people like you invest small amounts in the winery and allows us to grow. So I think a little of this was just in my subconscious of seeing, what he had been doing and his success, and also seeing the Oregon wine industry just really grow up right around me. And so when I went to school at Oregon State University, I came to intern here at the winery, started at the very bottom, and just over time have learned more and more about, our operations, how to farm our wine grapes sustainably, how we make our wines, leading our direct sales and marketing, and really getting to mentor under Jim is just such a privilege. And you learn every day. He's so dynamic, so forward looking. So it just stays so interesting. And we just have this great opportunity, a whole team of us do, to carry on Jim's legacy, as he's just set us up so well for the future, in that he's not looking to sell the company. He really wants to pass it down so that, Willamette Valley Vineyards is something that we can be like those, European wine companies, centuries and centuries old. I just read about a family recently, 30th generation, and that's really what Jim wants for us here. Yeah. And so it's a great, great company.
That's awesome. And I've always loved, from way back when I first connected with Jim and Willamette Valley Vineyards, he's always had a lot of great people around him, but always a lot of great women, which you don't always see enough. I think back to, 2005, when I started my business, it wasn't as many women in the business as there are now. So how exciting to have, both great women and men working there. I think people are getting thirsty, and I kind of am too. So maybe we can start tasting the first white wine. But what I also wanted to, speaking of great women, you're going to be involved with me in a conference called You Uncorked. And it's a virtual conference in October 16th. It's going to be all around creating your best vintage ever over the coming year. I'm so excited. If you guys want to get in line to get information about when tickets go on sale, you can just go to youuncorked.com. And Christine is going to be with me at the VIP wine tasting, which is how we'll end the afternoon of the conference. So I'm excited to have you there.
I think we're even going to taste one of our newest wines, our bubbles, our sparkling.
We are. I am such a bubbles fanatic. And when I did my wine comedy show out at the winery a few years back, I got to taste the sparkling wine for the very first time at the tasting room, and I fell in love. So when we did the wine pack and we were creating that together for the You Uncorked, I said we have to have the bubbly in the pack. And I know so many great bubbles lovers out there, so they're going to be excited about that. Cool. But I guess we're going to start with the Pinot Gris, which it's so funny. My friends make fun of me that I say, well, I don't really like Pinot Grigio, but I love Oregon Pinot Gris. And they're like, oh, what's the difference? It's the same grape. But that's the beautiful thing about wine and terroir, which is that fancy French word for the expression of the grape, depending on the place that it's grown. And so to me, it really is different. It's a totally different animal. And so I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about Pinot Gris in general for Oregon, but specifically, of course, yours.
Yeah. So Pinot Gris is our signature white wine here in Oregon. It was originally brought into Oregon by one of our Oregon wine pioneers, David Lett, and it fills a lot of our hillsides in addition to our Pinot Noirs. And it really is the climate here that Pinot Gris is, so well acclimated to. We have warm days, but very cool nights that retain the acidity in the wine. So it just keeps it really lively and vibrant. The grapes get fully ripened, and really express a lot of notes like apple and pear, but it goes all the way to citrus and tropics. And so I just love, the fruit expression, the clean, bright acidity. And then one of the things we do here with the style of our winemaking is we harvest the grapes from our vineyards. We whole cluster press them, meaning the juice is just immediately released from the skins of the grape. It's fermented cool to retain those very delicate aromatics and flavor compounds. And then we do keep the yeast cells from that fermentation in contact with the wine throughout its aging. Those serve as kind of a natural preservative for the wine, but also when you're regularly stirring them in with the wine, it develops a little bit more mid-palate richness to bring a little bit more creaminess and body. And so our Pinot Gris is actually a pretty substantial white wine as far as Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio standards. I always feel like it holds up really well with, complex cuisine.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like Italian Pinot Grigio can be, some of them, very specific in the citrus family, but not have that wide variety of the tropical fruit you mentioned, and some of the other places where I feel like Oregon has a little bit more intensity of aromatics and taste when you take the sip. I love the acidity, but I do love that you have that little addition from the lees, the yeast cells from the stirring. You got that richness, so you can put this with some light foods, but also, some bigger dishes like a chicken or a meaty fish. It doesn't have to be a salad or just a light, delicate pairing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have our winery chef here. I know your husband's a chef too, so probably always recommending food pairings. But I had this dish the other day. It was a grilled halibut, and he did the spring peas, and it was just delicious. I just love that herbal, fresh greens, and with that, really delicate fish.
That's great. And in Maryland here, we're all about the crab cakes.
Yes, of course.
I can totally see this with a crab cake for sure. Or even a pasta, a nice light pasta dish would be really fun too. And so if you love Pinot Grigio and you've never tried an Oregon Pinot Gris, I mean, first of all, you got little people, but definitely give it a try. I think yours retails around $18 range, under $20, very affordable. And this is the signature white grape. Now, Chardonnay, I know, is another big one grown in Oregon. But for me, if I'm going to do Oregon white, I get really excited about Pinot Gris as my first pick, I guess.
I love it all. Yes, Chardonnay certainly come into, more and more of our vineyards, and we're really developing our Oregon style. And so it is, they're such different white wines. So I think it's fun to make both.
For sure. And so real quick, before we talk a little bit more about the winery and taste the red wine eventually, I know in fall, we're going to be giving people a lot of information about, how to achieve what they're looking to achieve, whether it's personal life or career. But if somebody came to you and say, oh my God, I'm so inspired by your story, from selling bracelets and interning to running the entire winery, what is one tip? And I know that's hard because there's probably so many things, but what do you think it was the most important thing that helped you really stay the course? And, because if you would have tried to picture that out in the beginning, it seems overwhelming, right?
Yeah. Gosh, there are so many things. And I think it just comes back to, aligning with people that want to support and coach your development.
Love that.
Because the days do get really hard, right? And you can't do it by yourself. And so just that network of people that have your best interest and, sometimes can recognize your strengths even when you don't. And I always just believe in playing to your strengths. The Strengths Finder, method where you take and you get, it pops out your top 5. And the idea that if you really pour fuel onto developing those and forget spending all that time focusing on your weaknesses that you can only incrementally get better at, that's that's been kind of what's, led me to having just real fulfillment in my job, because I'm putting focus on things that I am good at and therefore enjoy. And then people that, fill in those gaps because they have other strengths. And so then you develop a really well-rounded team. So I'm just so thankful for, our community here at our winery, my family, my friends that have been able to have like those really hard truths sometimes where they just tell you, you're not in your sweet spot. That's why it feels so hard right now.
Oh, I love that. You're not in your sweet spot. That's a nice way of saying, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. And, reflect and go a different direction instead of just hitting your head on the ceiling sometimes.
I love it. And I worked with a life coach before and during starting up my business. And I worked through a book called Unique Ability. It's based on a whole theory by Dan Sullivan, who's a coach. And basically the same thing, you have things that you're good at, that you like, things that you're good at that you don't like, but everybody has this unique ability. And sometimes it's something that you do naturally and you don't even consider it a thing, but it's your thing because you do it naturally. And his theory is that you should try to work 90% of the time in your unique ability and try to farm out everything else, because why are you wasting time in spreadsheets if that's not your unique ability? Because there's somebody out there who is the whiz of spreadsheets, right?
Right.
So that's very similar. And I have taken the Strengths Finders. I think I need to go back and do it again, a little checkup.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I mean, it's, you read them and you're like, this is, that feels so good to kind of, have that self-actualized moment.
Right. And I know people that use it for hiring, because when you're hiring somebody, you might have the idea that, I want to hire somebody like me, but no, you want somebody with those different skills that maybe you were weak in that you can actually check out. So love it. Okay. So I was wondering, we got a little thumbs up on that. So that was awesome. I was wondering, maybe we can chat a little bit about sustainability. Now, I remember way back when, which I think we figured out a meeting that we may have met at, you guys were talking about sustainability back then, which was like maybe 2007 or 8, when now everyone's talking about it and everyone's kind of into this whole, wants to be there or is there or somewhere going towards it. For people that have no idea what the heck sustainability is and why you guys are so focused on it at the winery, just give us like a high level.
Yeah, happy to. I mean, Jim, our founder, is a native Oregonian. So am I. So we really feel like we have this duty and responsibility to, the land that we farm. But also part of our sustainability, not just being stewards of the land, but our people and our community. We have to have a sustainable business to be able to do the right things for people and for the land that we farm. We do, in a number of facets of our company, we have different efforts. One of the most kind of innovative that we're taking part in now is grapevines. Their largest threat is disease pressure, particularly powdery mildew. It's something that affects all agricultural crops, from strawberries to vines. And in the US, there's just hundreds of millions of pounds of fungicides that are put onto the plants to combat these viruses or this, fungus each year. And it was during the pandemic when our tasting rooms were shut down that when we were looking to reopen and do so safely, we made investments in our UVC or in our HVAC systems, putting UVC light into those systems to purify the air.
Yep.
And it was through that our founder, Jim, started reading and researching that UVC light has a lot of applications. We've seen it how people clean airplanes or how they clean the International Space Station. And so he actually invested in setting up a trial, and we had UVC lights going down the rows of our grapevines at night when the fungus's cells are at their weak point, when their defense mechanism's off. And it's another example of how we're trying to prove that you can reduce, chemical use and reduce your sprays. Mm-hmm. We only use organic sulfur, but in general, this could be hopefully adopted by farming in general. and we could just even have a lighter footprint, on our earth.
Yeah. Now, I know at one point when I was out at the winery, maybe it was a shareholders presentation or something that I attended during Grape Stomp. Jim was talking about the Cork Recycling program that he worked with Whole Foods on. I'm not sure if we could do that. We don't have one in my general area, about 45 minutes away. Are you guys still doing the Cork Recycling? And do they have it at all the Whole Foods or just on the West Coast?
Yeah, it's a nationwide program with Whole Foods. They really got behind this. So, we use 100% natural cork. We believe, cork is the finest closure for wines. Not only is it traditional, but, the quality and the cork forests in Portugal, they're second only to the Amazon rainforest for carbon sequestering. And so there was a recent study that came out by, a wine consumer just picking natural cork finished wines, that the carbon footprint of that wine goes down 25%. So that's just amazing to us, and why we're so committed to using the cork. And so we do have these in Whole Foods. You can just bring back, bags of your corks, and those get trucked to facilities where the corks are recycled and reused for shoe footbeds, for home insulation, all sorts of nifty products, and that it's repurposed too.
I love that. And I have a few bags of corks from the lockdown.
I have that too. More than I could ever do crafts with, right?
Exactly. No one seems to want them. I got to figure out how to get these to Whole Foods so they can be used. But yeah, I love that that you guys are so focused on, and you gave us that great example, but there's so many more ways with biodiesel fuel and falconry, I believe, that you guys are really you really live it. You're not just putting that out as a buzzword. You guys really, really do it. So thank you. I appreciate that. All right, let's talk red wine, because I know people, I love, it depends on my mood and my food, I always say, what I'm up for. But, red wine seems to be the most popular whenever I'm doing a virtual corporate tasting or my Wine Down Wednesday tastings. They get excited when we get to the red wine. So
sure. Yeah.
Let's talk about, we chose the Estate Pinot to talk about today. So I know we both have that. Mine's the 2018. I don't know what you there as well. I've always loved the Estate Pinot. I feel like it's a signature, if you're going to pick one thing. But yeah, let's taste this and tell me a little bit about why you think, one, Pinot, of course, signature red grape for Oregon as a state, but what is special about Willamette Valley Vineyards Pinot?
Yeah, I would also say that, if someone wants a really good representation of what Willamette Valley Vineyards does, this is the wine. We farm 3 estate vineyards all by hand, and this bottling is a blend of all of those estate vineyards in one bottle. And so it's really one of our best efforts each year. And the vineyards that go into this bottle are just such special vineyards that here in Oregon. We have a real history here. The oldest being from 1973 plantings that were done by an Oregon wine pioneer, Bill Fuller, who came up to Oregon from California. He was the first trained winemaker in Oregon. So he actually was the head winemaker for Louis Martini down the Napa Valley before realizing that he wanted to dedicate his life to his favorite varietal, which is Pinot. And so he drove north to find the perfect climate and settled here in the Willamette. And then we have our founder, Jim Bruneau, who planted the hillside here in 1983. His first vines and original plantings are in this bottle. And then colleagues of his from college, the Elton Vineyard, the third vineyard, and those vines were also planted in 1983 by school teachers that spent their evenings and weekends farming these vines. And really those relationships Jim had with Bill and the O'Briens of the Elton Vineyard, when they decided to retire, they picked Jim, both of them, as their succession plan, and really entrusted him with their vineyards. And that's such a huge honor. So we continue, and that's what makes up our estate. The tonnage here in Oregon is just 2 to 3 tons per acre. So very, very small crop. And so we're really able to get a lot of concentration and a lot of, flavor development and aroma development in this wine. The grapes are harvested and they come in, and we do, sort and destem the grapes. They go into just small 2-ton fermenters. They're hand punched down twice a day to extract the color from the skins, the aromas, the flavor compounds. And then we age it about 10 months in around 20% new French oak. So it's a very classic example of Pinot Noir.
Yeah, it really is. I love all the sort of black cherry notes in there. Mm-hmm. And I love that it's a very, judicious use of oak. You aren't, doing, 50% new oak or trying to overwhelm the fruit with the oak. It's just that added benefit sort of as, a plus, as a side dish, if you want to think of it that way.
We really want, the style to be a real pure expression of the sites. And so we want the fruit to be focused on, and we want, the beautiful, elegant acidity to keep the wine fresh. We want, the tannins to be really integrated. And we also want, some of that classic Oregon earth that people look for in their Pinots. So in order to accomplish that, we keep the oak a little lighter so that those other things can shine through, but it's still there for added complexity.
Yeah. And I mentioned to you before we went live, I went to Pinot Camp, which is a trade event that usually happens every year, where you if you're in the retail or hospitality business, you might go to Oregon and learn all about the wines and the regions. And that was the very first time I ever had salmon with Pinot Noir. And ever since, I've been totally converted as one of my favorite pairings of all time with Pinot, especially Oregon Pinot. I mean, it changes your mind about fish with red wine for sure.
Yeah, so I would say when you have a cedar plank salmon, so that salmon, grilled on that cedar plank to get the richness from the wood, and you pair it with the Pinot, that's my favorite dish. And it's something that everyone should come experience here. I mean, our winery, our tasting room's right above me, and we serve that pairing daily so that people get to taste our wines with the food locally.
And monthly, I do a Wine Down Wednesday virtual tasting class, and Jim was on last year at some point. We started in the lockdown and did it every week, and now we do it once a month now that things are opened up. But I have a group of people who really want to travel.
Yes.
So if you are getting ready to, get back on the road and do some trips, I highly recommend visiting because Christine showed you how beautiful it is there. It gave you a little view of the window, but there are winery suites that you can rent there. You can be right on the vineyard. There's also lots of great wineries, within short driving distance. And then you're very close to McMinnville, which has a ton going on too. So if you haven't been to Oregon wine country, I mean, I feel like I'm doing a commercial, but I absolutely love it. I highly recommend going there if you're, scheduling some fall trips. Mm-hmm. It'd probably be a great time to get to the winery. And with the restaurant there, I mean, there's just so much to do, just right where you are. But
yeah. Oregon, we have so many wonderful experiences people can do. Here we have winery suites and we have the food pairing experiences, but it's just a really vibrant community for outdoor adventures. So summer and fall are really some of the best times.
I love that. Well, Christine, this has been amazing. Hopefully we've got people really excited about Willamette Valley Vineyards. I'm going to put in the comments on the Facebook Live a link to your website. It's just wvv.com. And also, if you want to join Christine and I at the You Uncorked conference in October, just go to youuncorked.com. I'll put that link there too. You can sign up to be on the list. Once the tickets go on sale, you'll get notified. And so our fun does not end here, Christine. You're going to be with me in about 6 months. And I think your story is so inspiring, Jim's story. And I think, that's what we need right now, right? We need inspiration and connection. And that's what, I'm really so glad you're going to join me in that effort. And thank you for inspiring us today with your story and connecting us to these two amazing wines. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really hope that this, informs people, introduces them to a couple new wines so that they can use the rest of the month to properly celebrate Oregon Wine Month.
Yes, absolutely. And you can go to their website, Google Oregon Wine Month, and I bet you're going to find a whole host of activities and things to do. So thank you so much, Christine. Thank you guys for watching. And just go enjoy your Friday. All right.
Cheers to that.
Thank you.